Hey everyone, Charlene Ortiz here. Welcome to your training session today. Today we're finally going to do our full body circuit training workout, and we're going to incorporate a lot of the exercises that I've done with you guys in past videos. And so hopefully you've been practicing your scapular retraction, you've been practicing your transverse abdominis activation, you've been practicing some of the lower body exercises that I've already done, as well as the upper body exercise like the reverse fly, as well as doing some of the hip rotations on the ball to loosen up your low back if you're someone that does have a hard time with maintaining neutral spine. And so if you have been practicing all those different movements and exercises, you should be ready and good to go for this workout. And if not, that's okay. This might be your first time ever watching a video on my channel. You can always go back to those videos and review them, see what they're all about so that you can get the basics down, and that way you'll have a nice, good, strong foundation as you go on to more challenging and progressive exercises. So I'm just going to go through a few of the basic things that you're going to need for our workout today. The first one is going to be just our set of tubing. And again, if this is your first time ever seeing a video, I did a video called How to Build a Gym for Under $50. And all the equipment that I'm going to show you today or right now, on that video, you'll find links in the description where you can get a lot of these products for a really great price. So, all right, so I'm going to use my tubing, and I have a door anchor here. This is actually a different one that I bought. It's not the one that actually came with the set, but the one that came with it is fine too. I'm just using my new one. For those of you that want to perform the exercises sitting down, you can use your big resistor ball. If you don't have a resistor ball, or you're not quite comfortable balancing yourself on an unstable surface, you can use just a basic chair. That would be fine too, because everything that we're going to do today, you can also do seated, except for some of the lower body exercises. You'll have to actually stand to perform them. But for some of the upper body, you can do them seated. Another piece of equipment I'm going to use are these bands right here. So you can use either a long one, if you have a long one, and then you would just, tie it in a knot. Or if you have any of these types of bands, you can use one of these. So whatever works best for you. And then if you have your little ball, you can use your little ball too. And we'll be using this especially for when we go on to some of our abdominal exercises at the end of the workout. Again, if you don't have a little ball, that's fine. Don't worry about it. But again, on that video, How to Build a Gym Under $50, there is a link on where you can get one of these for like $2. So, okay. And if you don't have any equipment whatsoever, like this is your first time watching again, or you just haven't bought anything, that's fine, don't worry about it. You can still participate and just do the basic movements and practice them, so that way when you do have some type of equipment and you do have some type of resistance that you can use, you'll feel good and you'll feel comfortable because you've at least been practicing them even without the tubing or the ball or any type of equipment, because to be honest with you, any type of movement is going to benefit you. So feel free to participate whether or not you have equipment. And I hope the lighting is okay. I'm noticing in some of my videos, some videos the lighting looks good, and then some videos the lighting looks weird when I upload it. So I don't know. Again, I think I've mentioned several times already, when it comes to the editing and all the technical stuff, I'm pretty much incompetent. So I'm trying to get better at that. So I hope the lighting is good for you guys, and it doesn't look weird and I don't look weird. So, okay, so before we actually get into the workout, I'm just going to demonstrate how to do the movements properly, so that way you can get some good guidance and some good education on how to properly perform the movement, so that number one, you don't hurt yourself, number two, you get the most effective exercise from that movement. So, all right guys, so let's go ahead and get into the instructional portion of the video. Okay, now I'm just going to briefly go over how to perform the movements that we're going to be doing in this workout today. And I have my tubing right here. And just to give you a quick reminder, I'm just going to show you how to shut the tubing, the door anchor, into the door. And so remember, all you do, you just open the door and you put the ball on the other side of the door. And then you just make sure that the door shuts really firmly. Now, I'm not going to be using this door just because this one does not shut firmly, but I have a set of tubing that I already have shut in my closet door, and that's this is where I'm going to be doing my movements right here. You can't really see where my tubing is because it's around the corner, but I have my tubing shut in the closet door just like that. But I just wanted to do a really quick re-demonstration on how to shut the tubing into the door. And so remember, you really want to make sure that the door is shut very firmly, and test it a little bit just to make sure that it doesn't open and that the tubing is shut in there, you know, pretty firm. So the first movement we're going to begin with is a basic row. So the row is a movement that we haven't done yet, but we've done the beginning portion of the row. So a row movement is going to be strengthening the muscles in between your scapula, which is your rhomboid muscles, as well as your mid to lower trapezius will also be engaged. The lat muscles also engage, you know, to stabilize. And your bicep muscle will also be an accessory, as well as your medial and your rear deltoid will be accessory muscles as well. And so I'm going to be performing all these movements standing, but if you want to use your ball, you can absolutely, you know, use your resistor ball, and you can do the same movements as I'm going to be doing, you know, sitting on your ball. Unfortunately, I'm not crazy about the angle that I have right here, but I don't have a whole lot of room, so I might demonstrate some things at different angles just to make sure that you can see every side of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So I'm going to do the best I can and work with the room that I have. All right, so again, I'm going to be doing all my movements standing. Okay, so the ball wants to stay up here. Okay, stay. All right, so we're going to start with just the row movement. And I have my tubing set up so that it is in alignment with the muscle that I want to train, which is going to be my rhomboid muscle, which is, remember, attached to my scapula. So if you've already had a chance to watch my video on how to improve your posture and reduce back pain and improve abdominal strength, you should already be familiar with the scapular retraction, because that's going to be a crucial movement in order to perform this exercise effectively and efficiently to really get the most out of your movement, out of your workout. So just a basic row. Remember, the first thing we're going to do is get into our neutral. Our belly button's going to be pulled in nice and tight, and our knees are just slightly bent. That kind of engages the glute right away, and we'll take some of the stress off of the low back. But remember, one of our goals is to make sure that we're using our abdominal muscles, particularly the transverse abdominis. We're using our glutes in order to take some of the stress off of the back, and we're keeping our body in our neutral position at all times, and that also includes what our neck is doing, because remember, it starts from the bottom of the skull all the way down to the sacrum. So before I go into my full row movement, the first movement I am going to do is my retraction. So I'm going to bring my shoulder blades back in together, and then I'm going to continue my row, letting my elbows come a little bit back behind my body, just slightly behind my body. So again, I'm going to retract and then pull back, just like that. Retract and pull back. As you can see, my elbow is not moving when I do the retraction. I'm just retracting, and then I'm continuing the movement, holding that retraction, and then I'm releasing, and then I release my retraction when I'm doing the movement. And I'm also keeping my shoulders down throughout the whole exercise. So I'm going to do just a couple more repetitions. Again, belly button's in tight. I'm in my neutral. So first, you're going to retract and then pull back. Again, retract, pull back, just like that. Okay, so that's how the movement for the seated row is, or for the row is going to be performed. You might be doing it seated or standing. Again, whatever your preference, but like I mentioned before, do make sure you're doing a level that you know challenges you. if you're performing the exercises and they feel really hokey pokey and you just really don't feel like you're exerting yourself, again, you're not going to see results. And so it's really up to you to take the initiative to push yourself to a level where you know it's a challenge for you. But again, not to a point where you're going to hurt yourself. And we usually can gauge that pretty well. If we're feeling pain in our joints, or we're feeling our low back is about to go out, it's about to snap, then we know that the intensity is inappropriate, it's too high, we need to back off. But if you're doing your movement and you're feeling no fatigue, you're not feeling any of that burning sensation that comes from the lactic acid from your muscles at all, and you just feel like, oh wow, that was easy, you didn't do that right either. So there should be some discomfort involved that comes from the fatigue of pushing your body to the extent where, again, your muscles are going to have to work and respond to that, which is what's going to cause them to get stronger and grow. Okay, the next movement we're going to do is just a basic squat. And we did that in my last exercise video, so I'll just quickly review the form of the squat. I'm not going to be using the ball in between my knees. In general, I do like the knees to be a little bit, or the feet to be a little bit wider apart. With the ball, it's kind of hard to do that because, again, the ball's kind of little. But that is appropriate, again, if you're having a hard time doing squat and your knees are coming in and you want to try to get out of that habit. Then, again, using that little purple ball. Oh, I didn't put it up there. Actually, I have no idea where I put it. But anyway, that little purple ball, that's, you know, a little squishy, that's when you would put that between your knees, you know, again, to train your body, not to let your knees come in, but to train your adductor muscles to engage when you're doing your squat movement. So first I'm going to do a lateral view of the squat. Of course, as always, we're getting into our neutral spine, shoulders are back, belly button's pulled in tight. My feet are a little bit wider hip width apart, just a tiny bit, and I'm leading with my glute. My upper body is leaning forward just slightly. Again, I'm not letting my body come all the way forward like that. It's just a slight lean forward, and I'm maintaining my neutral spine throughout the whole movement. I'm also not letting my neck come up. I'm keeping my neck also in a neutral as well. Okay, so that way I'm maintaining neutral spine from the bottom of my skull all the way down to my sacrum. My knees are staying nice and level. I'm not letting my knees come forward. And remember, your feet should not disappear when you do the movement. You should be able to see your whole foot when you're doing the movement. And again, it's just finding that perfect counterbalance between extending your hips back far enough, but not so far that your upper body is leaning forward. So again, it's just trying to find that nice balance and that perfect marriage between the appropriate amount where you're extending your hips and where you're leaning forward and where your knees are at, okay? And remember, the pressure will be through the heel of the foot. The next movement is also a new one that we have not done. And this is going to be a chest press movement. And this is going to be working the muscles in your chest, which is your pectoralis major muscle. And so for this movement, you're going to use one band. And so let me actually demonstrate what I just did right here. And so all I did, I have these two handles. I just took this handle and put it inside the other one, and I just kind of slid this one back. That's all I did. All right, so I might have to do, again, a demonstration at a different angle, just because I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see the full frontal angle from where I'm at. So when you're doing your chest press movement, this is going to be working your pectoralis major major muscles in your chest, as well as your tricep muscle will be an accessory muscle to that, and your anterior deltoid. So again, I'm in my neutral, my shoulders are back and down, my belly button's pulled in nice and tight, and I'm in a kind of like a lunge position where both of my feet are facing forward. This knee is just slightly forward. It's not all the way forward like that. But again, it's just slightly forward, just giving me a nice strong base. And so from here, I'm going to extend my tubing. I'm starting where my elbow is at a 90-degree angle, and then I'm extending and bringing it to the center line of my body, just like that, okay? Now you might notice I'm letting a little bit of slack here. In general, you don't really want to, like when you're doing it, You want to make sure that there is, that it's staying taut the whole time. But again, I'm doing that just because of my angle. I don't want my head to get cut off by the camera either. So that's why I'm allowing the slack. But when you're performing it, you want to make sure that the band is staying taut the whole time, okay? And so I'm going to demonstrate really quick without the tubing, so I have the freedom to move around a little bit more. So what I'm doing from a forward view is, again, my elbow is staying at a 90 degree, and my arm is parallel to the floor. It's not falling down like this. And it's also not too high because we want our shoulders to stay down and relaxed because that's our neutral, right? My wrist always also stays in a neutral position. We don't want it bent back too much like that. So we're going to extend, bring it to the center line of the body, and then we're going to release and stop at 90 degrees, okay? So bringing it to the center line of the body is what's going to get a full engagement of the pectoralis major muscles. And again, and also really get that tricep muscle to engage all the way. And then again, I'm releasing and full extension. And you don't want to lock out the elbow. You never want to lock out your joints. They should just stop. They should be straight, but a very soft straight, but never locking out the joints. Okay, so again, I'm just going to do a few repetitions, and I'll give you a little lateral view, again, so you can kind of see where my elbow is stopping. I am not coming back all the way here because that can put inappropriate, unnecessary stress on my anterior deltoid. And so I'm going to stop at 90 and then bring it to the center line, okay? And then I'll switch, and I'll switch my position and my stance, and then we'll do the other side, okay? So that's going to be your chest press. And so the next movement is going to be, sorry guys, this ball does not want to cooperate. Okay, so the next movement is going to be the exercise that we practice again in the lower body video, where we did kind of that four-way movement. So that's going to be our next movement. So I'm going to take the tubing or the band and put it, I'm going to put it a little bit higher. You might notice if you put it a little bit higher, you might feel a little bit less stress on your knees. So, all right, so first, and again, if you need to hold on to something for balance, that's okay. So first, I'm going to bring it out to the side, okay? So this is going to be my abductor movement, abductor muscle, which is on the outside, okay? And then we'll go forward, okay? This is going to be for my quadricep muscle, okay? And then we're going to go back. This is going to be for my glute, okay? And then, and now I told you guys I was going to show you this in the last video. If you wanted to do this using the tubing. So what I'm doing, I'm taking my door anchor and I'm moving it all the way down to the bottom of the door. And again, you guys can't really see where it's coming from because the door is hidden from you. All right, and so I'm going to take my ankle strap here. I'm going to remove my handle. So this might be a little bit more tedious for you. And we're going to attach the ankle strap to the tubing right here. Okay? And then I'm going to put it around my foot like that. So this is the way I was talking about in the last video, that you could do it like this if you want to, where you can, again, go out to the side, and then you would face this way, go forward, okay? And then you would, face the opposite way, and then you can come in like this, all right? And then you can go back as well. All right, so that's a way that you can do it with your tubing when it is in the door anchor. And so that's another option. Again, it might be a little more tedious, but some people actually prefer it. So whatever your preference is, but again, we are going to incorporate the four-way exercise into the workout today. All right, so the last one, my cat just escaped. I have a big walk-in closet, so I put them in there during the workout because they jump all over the place, but and they usually just find a place to hide and go to sleep. But sometimes they escape, so that's all right. All right, the last exercise we're going to do in the circuit is going to be a reverse fly movement. Now, the reverse fly movement, if you watch my video on how to the exercises that you can do on the floor exercises, the ones that you can do before you get out of bed. This movement we did, but we did it laying down. We were laying down doing this movement on the floor. So in essence, it really is the same exact thing, except we're just standing. And so I'm going to go at an angle here. So what I'm doing, I'm holding my tubing so that there's just a little bit of a distance in between me and the upper part of my body. And the tubing is going to go, again, right underneath my collarbone. And I'm going to bring it all the way out to the side. And I'm keeping my body in a neutral spine position, just like that. Okay, so that will be our 5th exercise. All right, so just to do a quick review of what the full circuit's going to look like. First, we're going to do our basic row. Okay, so you're going to be retract and pull back. As soon as we're done, we're going to go right into our basic squat form. Okay, as soon as we're done with that, we're going to go into our chest press. Okay, just like that. When we're done with that, we're going to go into our 4-way exercise where we're going to do our abductor, adductor, our flexion, our extension, all that good stuff. And then the last one will be the reverse fly, the one that I just did. Okay, so those are going to be the standing exercises. That's going to be part of the circuit. And then we're going to go onto the floor and we'll do a little bit of ab exercises. And I'll also show you some ab exercises that you can do in a seated position too, if getting onto the floor it might be a little bit difficult. All right, guys, so with that instruction, real quick, why do I like circuit training? Because number 1, we can get a lot of exercises done in a shorter amount of time. Number 2, it keeps your heart rate elevated. And you're working a little bit harder throughout the workout just because you're going from one exercise to the next without stopping, except for in between sets. And I'm just going to do one full set. I'm just going to do one full circuit for you. Otherwise, this video would take forever. So, but that full circuit that I'm going to do with you guys is what you would do on your own, and you would add a 2nd set, even a 3rd set if you can. That would be great, but if you can only do 2 sets for now, that's okay. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and we're going to get into our full circuit now. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and begin our full circuit. We're just going to go from one movement to the next without resting. So again, I hope you're ready because I'm not going to be giving as much instruction and I'm not going to be stopping in between movements. So let's begin. First, we're going to start with our basic row. Our shoulders are back and down. My knees are slightly bent. My belly is button staying pulled in for my neutral spine. Retract and pull back. Nice and controlled movements. We never want to rush the movements. We never want our body to be flinging all over the place. We don't want our body doing this or anything like that. We want it to keep a nice stable position the whole time. Keeping my belly button pulled in is what's going to help to protect my low back as I perform the movement. As I pull back, I'm going to breathe out and breathe in. I'm going to retract and pull back. Really getting that rhomboid muscle to engage, retract and pull back. All right, let's do 3 more, guys. And breathe out, breathe in. Again, breathe out, breathe in. Last one, retract, pull back, and release. All right, let's go right into our squat movement now. So again, my shoulders are back and down, my belly button staying pulled in tight, my feet are a little bit wider than hip width apart, and begin. Always leading with your glute muscle. You're never leading the movement with your knees. You want your glutes, your quadricep, and your hamstrings to take on the stress of the movement, not the knees. As I'm coming up, I'm pushing through the heel of the foot, and I'm also not locking my knees when I come up. Okay, they're still just, they're straight, but a very soft straight. They're not locked out at all. And again, my upper body is leaning forward just slightly, but I'm maintaining my neutral from my neck all the way down to my sacrum. Okay, let's do a few more. As we come up, breathe out. As we go down, breathe in. And again, and in. And again, and in. Let's do one more. Again, pushing through the heel of the foot. And relax. Excellent job. All right, now we're going to go right into our chest press movement. So I'm taking the tubing, I'm putting it through the handle, and I'm just moving it down the tube. All right, so our chest press movement. Again, I'm going to try to do the best I can to give you a forward angle. Shoulders down, abs in nice and tight. I'm in my nice stable lunge base position, extending to the center line of the body and release. I have a little space here, so that way the tubing clears my body as I'm doing the movement and it doesn't rub up against me, and I can get a much better extension and contraction. So we're going all the way to the center line of the body. My shoulders are staying down and relaxed. My belly button is also staying pulled in nice and tight. Remember, like a string attached to your belly button, it's pulling your belly button back and towards your spine, and my wrist is staying in neutral. It's not bending back too far. All right, let's go for a couple more. Breathing out and in, breathing out and in, and release. Let's go right to the other side. Again, I'm in my lunge position, 90-degree angle right here. I'm not going back too far. And I'm going to extend, go to the center, and release. Breathing out and in. Again, breathing out and in. Remember, your shoulders stay down, belly button staying pulled in tight. We're keeping our neutral. Our knee is not coming too far forward. Our knee is just slightly bent. That's it. It's just in a lunge stance. Our lower body is not moving at all. The rest of my body is staying completely stable. And let's just do one more. Extend to the center line and relax. Very nice. Okay, now we're going to do our four-way exercise. And I'm going to do a full set for you guys with the tubing anchored in the door, just because I have not done a full set like that with you. I did it with the circular band, and if you want to use that circular band, that's fine too. All right, so putting this between on my ankle, and let's begin. All right, first I'm going to start with my abductor, where I'm going to be going out to the side. Okay, so again, my shoulders back, abs in tight, and out to the side, just as far as what feels comfortable for me or for you. Okay, if you need to hold on to something for balance, that's fine, you can hold on. Or if you want to try to challenge yourself, but you need to tap your foot in between each repetition, if you need to kind of tap, that's fine too, not a problem. If you're able to hover the whole time, that's fantastic, but if you're not ready for that, that's okay, you'll work your way up to it. As you can see, even I'm struggling myself to do this movement. All right, and again, I'm just going out as far as what feels comfortable for me. I'm not leaning into the movement, my body's staying nice and stable. And we're going to do one more and relax. All right, now I'm just going to face forward, and now I'm going to go back into my hip extension movement. And again, shoulders back, abs in tight in my neutral, and just a straight back movement, just like that. Okay, and I'm keeping my body as stable as I can. As I extend, I breathe out. As I release, I breathe in. And remember, you don't want to arch your back too much. You want to make sure that your back is still staying in a neutral position while you're doing your movement, so that way we're not putting inappropriate and excessive stress on the back. Last one, and relax. Okay, now I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to be doing my adductor muscle. So again, in my neutral, I'm just going to be bringing it in towards my foot, and my supporting leg is on fire right now as I'm using that leg, working hard to stabilize me, while the other leg is being pulled by the resistance. And this is a challenge. This is definitely a challenge, and you should feel, again, that you're feeling the fatigue set in, and you're feeling like that leg, you're feeling a bit of that burning sensation in order to stabilize you. Let's make that our last one. All right, now we're gonna go forward. So again, shoulders back, abs in tight, and this is going to be working our quadricep muscle. Okay, and this is gonna be really great for strengthening the muscles that surround your knee as well. Again, if you need to hold on, that's fine. You can hold on. Just do whatever. I might need to hold on. Who knows? And again, you're only going as far forward as what feels comfortable, as long as you're able to maintain your neutral and you're not feeling inappropriate stress on your joints. Let's just do one more. And relax, all right? Let's switch. Go immediately to the other side. All right. Okay, so I'm going to start again with my abductor muscle, my shoulders back, abs in tight, and out to the side, just like that. Again, I'm trying to keep my body as stable as I can. And if you need to hold on to something again, do hold on to something. Woo, I'm losing my balance. And breathing out and in as you're doing your movement. This is definitely my weaker leg. This is where I have my sciatica issues. So this one has always been a little bit harder for me to stabilize. All right, let's go ahead and go for 3 more. If you guys have been able to do this nonstop and you're keeping up that well, you are amazing. Let's do 1 more. And relax. All right, now we're going to do our hip extension, going backwards, shoulders back, abs in tight, and nice straight back movement. Remember, we're not arching our back too much. We're still keeping it in a neutral. As I extend, I'm breathing out. In as I release. And again, I'm working really hard to stabilize myself here, guys. This is not easy for me either. All right, you're doing a great job. Let's do 3 more. Again, that leg's probably burning a little bit, especially if you're not holding on to anything to support you. You'll definitely feel it working very, very hard to stabilize, which is, again, what we want. We want your body to learn how to stabilize you in an unstable situation. Okay, so now I'm going to do the adductor muscle, inner thigh, and bringing it straight in. More to the side. Yeah, I hope it's not cutting off my head. I don't know. But as long as you can see what's going on with my lower body, that's okay. And again, I'm keeping the rest of my body completely stable. I'm not letting the band control me. I'm not letting it whip me around. I'm keeping the band controlled and nice and stable. My shoulders are staying down and relaxed. My belly button's staying pulled in nice and tight. I'm never letting that go. All right, guys, let's do 1 more repetition. And relax. All right, now let's go forward. Okay, so again, abs in tight, in my neutral position, and begin. Nice forward movement. And we're only going as far as what feels comfortable, okay? If you're doing this properly, you should even be breaking a little bit of a sweat. I'm breaking a little bit of a sweat. And again, that's a good thing. It means that your body is straining itself. Sweat is also excellent for you. It's actually a natural way to detoxify your body. So don't be afraid to sweat. It's a good thing. That's why we have showers. So again, don't be afraid to sweat. And let's go ahead. We'll do 3 more. As I extend, I breathe out and in. 2 more, breathe out and in. Last one, breathe out and in. Very nicely done. Again, if you guys are doing this thing without stopping, I am impressed because I am tired. You guys are making me work for what I do. Okay, so now I'm going to switch handles and we're going to finish with our reverse flying movement. And I'm placing the door anchor high enough so that it's in alignment with my rear deltoid when I do the movement. When I do the other side, you'll kind of see, you know, how the alignment looks in relation to the muscle I'm training, which is the rear deltoid right here. All right, and rhomboids as well are engaged. Okay, so knees slightly bent, abs in nice and tight. I'm starting with my arm just right next to my body, all the way out to the side, and stopping right next to my body. Breathing out and in. There is a space in between me and the band so I can get a nice full range of motion without the band rubbing up against my body. Okay, breathing out and in, out and in. And I'm keeping my neutral spine the whole time. My shoulders are staying relaxed. My wrist is even staying in neutral. I'm not bending my wrist like that. I'm keeping it in a nice neutral position. Okay, let's go ahead. We'll do 2 more repetitions. Good, and last one. All right, so now we're going to do our other side. And again, you'll kind of be able to see the alignment a little bit better here. So right next to my body, shoulders down, abs in tight, knees slightly bent, all the way out to the side. I'm getting that full extension, that full range of motion. So that way my rear delt and my rhomboid muscles are fully engaged. My tricep muscle is also an accessory to this movement as well. And remember, these are muscles that contribute to our ability to maintain neutral spine, among many others. And this is going to help to bring your shoulder blades back naturally. So as you strengthen them, you'll get into neutral spine and relax without even having to think about it anymore. All right, guys. Again, if you did that whole thing without stopping, you are a superhero. And if you had to rest in between, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Again, the great thing about these videos is you can rewind it. You can do it over and over again until you feel really comfortable, until you get it down really well. And so, again, you know, whatever level you start at, you got to start somewhere. So, all right. Now we're going to end with some abdominal exercises. I'm going to demonstrate one that you can do seated in a chair for those of you that have a hard time laying down. And then I'm going to demonstrate one that you can do laying down. And then we'll end with a couple stretches. So, all right, guys, you are doing so awesome so far. Again, you're definitely making me work hard here, but that's okay. And let's go ahead and move on to abs. Okay, now we're finally going to end with our abdominal exercises and just some real gentle stretches. So let's go ahead and lay down onto our mat. And for those of you that have had a chance to watch my video on exercises that you can do in the morning before you get out of bed or on the floor, you might be familiar with one of these movements already, which is the reverse crunch. But either way, I'll still demonstrate it. And the next movement is going to be a new one for everybody. And so, we're going to start with just our basic reverse crunch movement. I'm going to start with the most advanced level, and then I'll go down to the most modified. So the basic reverse crunch is going to be specifically activating your transverse abdominis, because in order to do the movement properly, you have to engage the transverse. You don't have a choice. Otherwise, your back will engage, and that's exactly what we don't want. And I'll demonstrate what I'm talking about here in a second. So for this, I'm going to use my purple ball just to get my inner thighs to engage, as well as my lower intra-abdominal muscles. So placing the ball between the knees and just putting a nice pressure on it. If you don't have a ball, don't worry about it. Just focus on trying to keep your knees together as much as you can, okay? So now, with my legs at kind of a 90-degree angle, as I bring my feet down towards the floor, I'm making sure that my back is staying in a nice neutral position, that we're not letting it arch up. As I apologize if my animals start running around. They've been going crazy all night, and I'm not going to refilm this because I've already had to do it several times. So again, as you're bringing your feet down towards the floor, you want to make sure that your back stays in its neutral. The most common tendency will be to arch your back, and that's going to completely take the transverse out of the picture, and now the low back will be the primary muscle engaged, which is the opposite of what we do not want. We don't want that. We want the transverse to start activating to learn how to protect the low back, okay? So this is the most advanced version. And then the next level would be to do one leg at a time, alternating. Same rules. Our back is staying down, nice and neutral. We're not letting it arch up. We're also keeping our shoulders down and relaxed. And your range of motion will all depend on how well you can keep your back in its neutral. So say, for example, if at this point your back is arching, no matter how hard you try, you can't get it into neutral, then you've gone too far. Then you just need to reduce your range of motion and don't go down as low. Or just need to change it and go to a more modified version of the movement. So whichever one you choose to do, reduce range of motion or more modified, as long as your back is staying in neutral. And so the easiest level is going to be starting with your feet on the floor, and you're just bringing one foot up at a time, and you're just lightly letting it touch the mat. Very lightly, okay? Nice and controlled movements. Remember, you're still actively pulling that belly button in nice and tight, and you're just learning how to keep the back in a neutral. Make sure your transverse is the primary muscle that's engaged when you're doing the movement, so that your transverse is learning how to protect your back. Okay, so those are the three different versions. So let's go ahead and do a full set. We'll do maybe 10 to 15 repetitions. And so what I'm going to do is start with the most advanced one, and then I'm going to perform the other two modified versions, so that way you can kind of see how I'm doing both versions while you're doing the movement. But you choose the level that is appropriate for you, and if you decide to switch levels in the midst of the set, that's fine. Like say, for example, you do the very modified, you realize it's too easy, and you go up to a harder level, or vice versa. All right, so I'm going to start with a bilateral, both legs up, and I'm using, again, the ball between my knees, and let's begin. So we're letting our feet come down towards the floor. We're not letting our back arch. It's staying in its neutral the whole time. So I'm only going down as far as what my back can handle. As I go down, I'm going to breathe in. As I come up, I'm going to breathe out. My shoulders are staying relaxed. I'm not letting my shoulders come up, but they're staying in a nice, relaxed position. Even though we're laying down, we're still maintaining our neutral spine. So breathing out and in. So for those of you doing this level, just continue. I'm going to go to the more modified version. For those of you that are doing the modified version, and I'm going to do 3 on each side in the modified version. But again, for those of you, whatever version you're doing, just keep doing that version, or upgrade it or downgrade it if you need to, okay? So now I'm going to end with the most modified version, where I have one foot on the floor the whole time, and my back is still staying down nice and firm. I'm going to do 2 more on each side. Breathing out and in, and out and in. Very good. Excellent job. Very nicely done. And so again, if you need to practice that more and more to feel comfortable, and just rewind over and over again if you need to. Again, that's what's so great about video. You just want to make sure that you feel very comfortable with the movement before you go on to the more advanced versions, and your ability to keep your back in a neutral, and of course keeping your shoulders down as well. The next exercise is going to be just a basic crossover exercise. Some of you might be familiar with this. You might have performed it in the past, but it's oftentimes it's not instructed properly. So I'm going to demonstrate the appropriate way to do it, and the most common way that it's taught, and why I don't like that. So this is going to be just a crossover oblique crunch, okay, for the oblique muscles, because we're going at a diagonal, and the obliques go at a diagonal. So when we do a diagonal movement, the obliques will be the primary abdominal muscle engaged, although all your abdominal muscles are always engaged. It just depends on the nature of the abdominal movement, which area of the abs is working a little bit harder than the rest. So when we're doing a crossover oblique crunch, you want to make sure that you're bringing your chest to the knee, not the elbow. And that's the most common instruction with this movement. The reason why chest to the knee, number one, you can get a greater range of motion when you're bringing your chest to the knee, because the elbow stays out of the way and it goes more naturally against the diagonal that the oblique muscle lies on your body. Number one. Number two, when you do it with your elbows, your tendency is going to be to pull on your neck like that. And as you can see, it looks very strenuous, and it is. It gets you very much out of neutral, which is completely inappropriate. And number 3, again, your elbows are coming in a position that's inappropriate. Again, just causing unnecessary stress on your upper body that you just don't need to cause on your upper body. So your elbows need to stay in just a slightly bent position where they're not real wide, but they're also not pulling in like that. And my neck, as you can see, is staying in a neutral position, and it's just staying in alignment with the rest of my body. It's just following my upper body as I do the lift, and I'm bringing my chest to the knee, not the elbow. And with this movement, you're still focusing on keeping that lower back in a neutral. You're not letting it arch like this as you release, okay? Keep that low back still in its neutral, and your transverse abdominis is still staying engaged. Again, you're imagining a string is attached to your belly button, and it's pulling your belly button back and toward your spine. All right, let's go ahead and we'll do a set of 10 on each side. So letting your hands rest, let your head rest on your hands, and that's again going to help to reduce the stress and the strain on the neck. Some of you might feel strain on the neck initially, just because it's our natural tendency when we lift our upper body up from the floor to engage our neck. That's just how we get out of bed or how we get up from laying down. So it might be a little difficult for you to consciously be able to rest your neck on your hands, and that's very normal. But just try to focus on letting your head rest on your hands. The analogy I like to use is pretend like your head weighs 100 pounds and it's so heavy and it just needs to fall into your hands, okay? So, all right, let's begin. So as we lift, we'll breathe out, chest to knee, and switch, and breathe in, breathing out, breathing in, and out. Again, I'm keeping my neck in its neutral. I'm bringing my chest up, and my elbows are not leading the movement. My chest is leading the movement. Now, your range of motion, like everything else, don't worry about it. Just go as high as what feels comfortable. So if that means that this is your movement in the beginning, that's okay. If it even is too much for you to lift your legs, if that hurts your lower back, then just let your legs stay on the floor, and you can just focus on lifting the upper part of the body. And as you get stronger, you'll be able to incorporate the legs into the movement. Okay, let's just do one more on each side. Last one, breathing out and in. Very nice. All right, guys, very well done. And that is officially the end of the actual workout. And now we're gonna go on to the stretches. So just like your circuit, when you do your abdominals, you'll do 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions. And remember, you're always keeping your shoulder down, and you're always keeping your back in its neutral position, never letting it arch up. That is incredibly important, probably the most important aspect of these abdominal exercises that we did today. All right, so let's start with just a couple gentle stretches. The first one is going to be just for the low back, and I'm going to have you bring your knees into your chest and just bring them in as far as what feels comfortable. For those of you, if you want to hug your knees, if you can get that range of motion, you can hug your knees if you want to, but you can just hold them here like this. If this is too much for some of you guys, if you're just too tight and you're not comfortable, you can just let one leg rest on the floor, and you can just bring one knee in at a time. That's perfectly fine. You can do that. I'm going to do both knees. And for those of you that are doing one knee at a time, if you're holding one knee in, go ahead and switch to the other knee now and hold that in for a few seconds, okay? Now, I am very soon going to do a video that's going to be strictly just stretches, so that way you'll have a really good library of stretches that you can do after a workout throughout the day, before you go to bed, or whatever is your preference. So I'll show you a lot more stretches in that video. But for today, we'll just do some gentle stretches just to get your body back into a relaxed state. Now we're going to do a hamstring stretch. So I like to keep my leg bent because for myself personally, if the leg is straight, my back will tend to arch. It pulls on my low back. I just don't like how that feels. That's uncomfortable for me. So I like to keep my leg in. And so I'm just going to take my hands behind my hamstring and just pull the leg back nice and gentle. Also, when you're stretching, remember to breathe. It is very important to breathe and keep your shoulders relaxed. The purpose of the stretch is for you to relax. And if you're like this and you're holding your breath, you're not going to be relaxed. So make sure, again, those shoulders are relaxed and you're breathing when you do your stretch. And it should just feel like a gentle pull, like you are feeling a stretch, but do not force it. Just go back as far as what you feel your leg can handle. It should not be too painful. Again, maybe just a slight pull, maybe just a teeny bit of discomfort, but it really shouldn't be excessively painful. Just a little bit of a gentle pull. All right, so let's switch to the other side. Again, you're gonna breathe and make sure your shoulders, your upper body, your head, your neck are all relaxed. If you want, you can even close your eyes when you're doing your stretches. Now, on your own, ideally, you want to hold each stretch for at least 30 seconds. Ideally, 60 seconds is even better. I'm doing a little bit shorter today just for the sake of time, but when you're doing it on your own, you do want to hold it for at least 30 seconds. Again, 60 is even better. Now we're going to do another stretch for the low back and the hip, and maybe even a little bit of the chest, depending how flexible you are. So what you're going to do, you're going to rotate your legs over to the side. Now, for those of you, if this, feels kind of uncomfortable, you're kind of scared to if you feel like your back might go out, your back's really tight or what have you, you can just take some pillows and kind of put a few underneath your legs and just let your legs kind of rest. And then you just take your upper body and you just look the opposite direction. But you're still keeping a pillow here. You still have your pillow here, but you just look the opposite direction and you just let your legs fall, and you can let them rest on that pillow to take the weight of your legs if you're afraid that you're going to pull your low back. If your low back feels a little bit too tight to let the legs go to the floor, that's fine. For those of you who can do a full range of motion, you'll just let your legs fall. Again, you'll just face the opposite direction. Again, my shoulders are relaxed and I'm just breathing, just letting my body relax and be at rest because I'm stretching. I'm trying to get it back into a relaxed state after a good workout. Now we're going to do the other side. Again, just letting those legs fall to the side, and I'm facing the opposite direction. As you can see, I'm bringing my shoulder to the floor, which is giving me a good stretch in my chest, my pectoralis major muscle. If your shoulder doesn't go that far, that is fine. Do not force it. If it stops right here, just let it rest, let it lay. Don't worry about how far down it goes. You just go down as far as what feels doable for you. A little more advanced version of this stretch, if you're that flexible, is to straighten one leg and bring the other leg over to the side. You're using, just your opposite hand. And again, you're facing the opposite direction. And for those of you, perhaps you've taken yoga before, this might be a familiar stretch to you. You might have done it before. But I just wanted to show you again the two different versions of doing this. Again, it's a great way to stretch your low back, your hip, perhaps your chest. And if you're not feeling it in all those areas right away, it's probably just because you're really tight. Your body just doesn't want to release and let it go. And that's okay. That's perfectly normal. Just continue to perform the stretches on a regular basis, and little by little your flexibility will start to improve and develop, and you'll notice that you can get a greater range of motion little by little. And the reason I like to stretch, okay, we're going to go ahead and sit up now. Remember, rotate to the side and push yourself up with one hand, and then from here you go ahead and go into your seated upright position. But yeah, so when it comes to your stretches, like I said, you just want to go as far as what feels comfortable for your range of motion. And I personally prefer to stretch at the end of the workout because that is when your body is the warmest. So a warmer body is going to get a better range of motion, and it's also going to be safer. You'll be less likely to pull a muscle because your muscles will be warmer, a little bit more relaxed, and you'll develop more flexibility like that. If you're going to stretch before a workout, that's fine. but I want you to make sure that you do a 10 or 15 minute warm up before that, like walking on a treadmill, an elliptical, a bicycle, and it has to be a good warm up before you go into the stretch. And if you don't want to do that, then skip the stretch in the beginning and just do, it's more preferable that you do it at the end, because your muscles again will be warmer and you'll just get a more effective and a safer stretch. All right, guys, that is it. You did an amazing job today. You really need to give yourself a hand because you accomplished a huge victory. For those of you that were able to do it the whole way through, you are a superhero and you need to embrace that victory. For those of you that had to stop a few times in the middle, you are a superhero. That's a great victory, and that is perfectly fine. The important thing is that you do what level you know you can do. As long as you're being honest with yourself and you know that you're pushing yourself to your optimum potential without endangering yourself and getting hurt, of course. And so, but again, you guys should be very proud of yourself that you even took the time to watch this video, because it's a little long, and even perform the exercises. So I want you to perform this circuit 2 to 3 days a week on your own, skipping a day in between to give your body a day of rest. And I know this is a little more advanced again than what we've done, because of course a lot of the videos that I do are catered to people that have limitations, disabilities, what have you. But I did want to give you guys something that was a little more hardcore, a little more intense for those of you that are looking for something to get your heart rate up and to make you feel like, okay, that was a good workout and it was a good way to start my day. My next workout is going to be just seated exercises. And so again, it's going to be full body, and we're going to do a lot, but they will be just mostly seated exercises. So I'm going to allow you guys to practice this circuit for the next couple weeks, and then I'm going to do another circuit and advance everything that we did today. So if you want to be able to do the advanced level, you need to be practicing this circuit. And if you don't have the equipment, try to get at least the tubing as soon as possible. So again, you can really get some good effective strain on your muscles so they can grow and get stronger. My next video is going to be on epigenetics, which is a video I'm very excited about doing. And I'm going to be talking about the great Bruce Lipton, who is a pioneer in the field of epigenetics and a man that I greatly admire. He is an incredible scientist who is decades ahead of his time. And for this video, I highly recommend that you take the time to watch this, because when you learn how amazing your body is and the scientific evidence that proves that you can heal yourself with your thoughts, you are going to be in awe of how sophisticated and amazing your body is. I don't care how beat up you are. I don't care how much damage you feel like you've done to your body over the years. Yes, even your body is amazing, and even your body can heal itself. So when I talk about epigenetics, when I get into that science and what it's all about, like I said, you're just going to be so encouraged, and you're going to have so much more respect for your body, because you're going to see how incredible it is, and it's going to give you hope that it really is possible to heal your body regardless of what type of ailments you suffer from, even if you've been suffering from these ailments for most of your life. So, all right, guys, so thank you so much for your time and attention. As always, I really appreciate it. Let me know what you think about the workout in the comments below. I'm always interested in what you guys have to say, as well as anything else, again, specific that you would like to see me do a video on, and I will do that video for you and provide all the research and evidence and science, everything that I possibly can to help you with whatever topic you want to learn about, to help you to improve the quality of your life. So, okay, guys, so remember to take care of yourself, protect yourself physically and emotionally, and don't forget, your health is your most valuable asset. Invest in it. Bye-bye.